Apparently, Atlanta is not full. A new report shows that Metro Atlanta is still growing, but at a slower pace than previous years. ANF reporter Joshua Skinner dove into the numbers to find out why some communities are actually trying to get growth under control.
Metro Atlanta is still growing, just a little bit slower than before. The latest study from the Atlanta Regional Commission says the 11-county metro grew at 1% between April 2025 and April 2026, down from 1.2% the previous year. But while the growth is flattening, the city of Atlanta is going the other direction, growing by nearly 1.3%. The ARC gives that credit to development along the Beltline and Midtown. But back to that slowing rate, the slowing growth is somewhat intentional.
Our Board of Commissioners here actually installed a moratorium last year.
Russell Brown with Forsyth County gets to work in this shiny new building, a monument to astronomical growth.
That moratorium has limited some of that new construction growth here in Forsyth County.
The idea is to keep the population from completely outpacing infrastructure. Growth is at 1.3% over the past year, down from over 2% the year before, but it's still the second fastest growing county in the metro. The question then becomes how to get people to work way down in Atlanta.
That's something that the county is very much tuned into.
The massive GA 400 project will help when it's completed in 2031.
It's going to enhance economic development for the stuff that's already in the cooker, if you will, and more to come, but more importantly, increase safety, giving the everyday drivers reliable trip times.
But there are also negatives to slowing development. The ARC partially blames the lack of growth on the unavailability of new housing, saying housing permits dropped over 18% in 2025, keeping prices high, but also maybe keeping the metro from outgrowing itself.
Being able to smartly manage that growth has been a priority.
In Forsyth County, Joshua Skinner, Atlanta News First.